Hello everyone, and welcome to the ASMR Review Show. For this video, we are talking about the Oscar nominations of the films in 2024 for the Oscars of 2025. Do we still care about these sorts of things? Kinda, sorta, maybe, sometimes. I'll be honest, it wasn't a great year overall. I said that about last year, but then looking back as time went on, I realized we had a good couple of last years. 2022, 2023, pretty good stuff overall. 2024, however, was not as great, unfortunately, and this will be reflected in the tier list I have for you today. As we enjoy some good Canadian beer, the best kind of beer. So, we have 10 movies nominated for Best Picture. Never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss those days where they could nominate 10, but they only nominated 8. Because back then it was annoying and they did miss out on a lot of good ones. But now when I see when they seem like they're forced to include 10, there's a lot to be desired here and there, shall we say. So, we've got the 10 Best Picture nominees, plus 2 other additional films per nominee that are movies that might be up for other awards that are not just simply Best Picture, and maybe a couple of snubs for certain categories while we're at it. So you might be able to see what we have here already, so spoiler alert, but let's get into the movies. The first one on the list is a Brazilian film called I'm Still Here, which goes in the D tier. D for did not watch. I really would have liked to have watched this film. However, it was not playing in theaters anywhere near my location. I was not going to drive way out of the way to go see a random movie I know nothing about, even if it was for the Oscars, and it has not been released available on streaming or any website. So, if I had a did not watch tier, I would put it here, but I don't. So it goes in D for did not watch. Again, I'm sure it's a great movie. It's up for a couple of awards, but I can't say anything more than that. So maybe when it's available, I'll watch it. I tried. Sorry. Next up, we have a movie up for Best Animated Feature and Best Foreign Film, which is Flow, which that goes into B tier. That is a good one. It's a very fun kind of experimental film with animals, and there's no dialogue, and it's just them, this kind of force of nature. I always compare everything to Shadow of the Colossus. It's my new Alien, shall we say. But it was really good, and I enjoyed it. Don't think I was as in love with it as some other people. I think they might put it a bit higher. But the concept was fun, the animation was nice, and the music was good. That's really all you can ask for from this type of movie. So, yeah, pretty good. B tier for Flow. And next up, we have another Best Animated Feature nominee, which is The Wild Robot, which that one will go right to A tier, because that's a good movie. Really loved that one a lot. Again, it's like Flow, but the animals talk, and there's a robot, so that's an upgrade for sure, and the cast is great, the music's great, animation's great, the story's great. It's just a whole bunch of fun. Gets you great in the feels. Pretty straightforward story, but just what can you say? Sometimes you can have a very simple story, but if you do it really well, it makes up for it, and that's what this movie did. I would like to see this one win Best Animated Feature. Seems like Flow has been winning a lot of the stuff, so I would be okay with that one too. These are fine choices, shall we say. Next up, the big one, the one that everyone's been talking about that no one can shut up about, and of course that is Emilia Perez. Oh boy. So, I watched this one, I think, after the Golden Globes were announced, but before the Oscar nominations happened. So this movie had just won Best Musical or Comedy, Zoe Saldana had won Best Supporting Actress. And then this was before it was up for 13 Oscar nominations. Whoa, that's so many. So, how is the movie? I put an F tier on here for a reason. Look, I know it's kind of become beating a dead horse to hate on Emilia Perez, but no, I'm with her on everybody. I absolutely agree. It was hot garbage. I think I gave it a 1 star. And you know me, my curve rating on Letterboxd is pretty positively skewed. I usually only like to watch movies that I know I'm gonna like. I don't really like to watch stuff that I know I'm gonna hate. Why would I waste my time with it? And I watched this movie and I hated it. So, on the bright side, I found a musical worse than Wicked. That's good. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So why didn't I like Amelia Perez? Because this one I hadn't seen when I did my movies of 2024 ranked. Well, we'll keep it short because there's a lot of movies to get through. But basically, this movie it's a musical, okay? And I look at it this way: it's a musical with a dramatic story. Okay, so the musical element is bad. The songs are not good. They do not have energy. They are not well directed or shot. Part of me almost feels like this movie was not a musical, and that it became a musical later. That is the vibe I get from this movie. And that is not a good vibe, you know. A good musical, the song should have passion, you know. When the words do not suffice, then the song must break out. And when the song is not enough, then the dance happens, you know. So it fails on a musical level. All the songs are bad. They're nonsensical. They're not interesting. Just not good. So, bad musical. Then, on the dramatic story, the drama of the story is just not good, and the story is not interesting. There's about 10 different plot threads that seem to be set up and go nowhere. Doesn't have anything interesting to say. And yeah, that's just not good. And so this is all completely separate from the trans depiction and the Mexican culture depiction in the movie. So I am not trans, and I am not Mexican, or of any Spanish-speaking culture. So I can't comment on, was the Spanish bad? You know, I took high school Spanish. That's all I know. And that's been years ago. So I can't comment on how that was portrayed, but everybody else seems to hate it, so I'll take their word for it. And again, I do my best to try to, you know, be aware of the trans representation in the film, and supposedly that is also very bad. And, you know, it just gets basic facts about trans people wrong, like you wouldn't smell the same because you're on hormones and that hormone therapy, and that changes your scent, you know. And just the whole movie seems to portray it as if, you know, this person, Emilia Perez, is not really a woman, you know. They're a woman in disguise, and they might get caught that they're not really a woman. And I just don't really like that framework. That framing device just seems very unintentionally transphobic. So that's not good. Yeah, and it really sucks because, you know, when we said we wanted more representation in films, that kind of came with the asterisk that the film was going to be good as well. Like, we didn't have to say that. So I don't want to say that this movie is just getting awards just because it's a Mexican and trans representation movie. That could very well be the case. It's one of them movies like Driving Miss Daisy or Crash or Green Book, you know, the ones where we can pat ourselves on the back. Oh yeah, man, we solved racism. You know, not an actual good movie about the topic like 12 Years a Slave or Moonlight, right? And I ain't even the biggest fan of Moonlight, but I can recognize that's a good movie and that deserves a lot of praise, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about a good movie with a trans representation, trans metaphor, right? And it's the one that everyone has compared this movie to, and I made this comparison myself too. And it's I Saw the TV Glow, which we will go with A tier for that one. Really close to S tier on that one. But yeah, that's a much better one. I Saw the TV Glow. Not gonna be for everybody. Very slow, very strange in that way. Very, Lynchian, as the kids say, and it probably is not just because I've been rewatching Twin Peaks. Like, it's actually got some references to that, and the musical guests makes me think of all the Roadhouse moments from Twin Peaks season 3. So yeah, talked about that one already in my top movies of the year list. Pretty sure it made my top 10, but it's a great one, just so well done. Devastatingly emotional. I just love that one a lot. And it's on this list because it was completely snubbed, which is not a surprise to me though. Like, I knew it wasn't. It was not pushed as an awards movie. Came out way earlier in the year. Like, I knew this wasn't going to be the one. So, but I'm putting it here to make y'all know it should be this one, not Emilia Perez. Ugh, so bad. And then also on the topic of movies where a character undergoes a surgery to become somebody else that is a much better movie, we have A Different Man. So A Different Man is up for, I think, a makeup and hairstyling award, right? And Sebastian Stan, he won, I think, Best Actor in a Musical Comedy for this one. So I hadn't seen this one when I did my top movies of the year list, and I have seen it now. I will say this movie was good, and it was entertaining, and it had a fun style to it. But ultimately, at the end, I don't think it added up to too much. It was just, this is a fine movie, so we will go middle of the road for C tier for this one. Adam Pearson was great in the movie. He's got some kind of facial genetic condition. I forget what it is, but I just mainly know him as the guy from Under the Skin. But it's hilarious to see him in this movie just having all of the accidental riz, You know that moment when you don't actually mean to, but you accidentally riz your way to the top? That's this guy's story in the movie, and it's great. So yeah, in terms of a movie becoming or a person becoming a different person, that's also a much better movie than Emilia Perez, So, yeah. Then next up we have Wicked. Wicked. Perhaps I judged you too harshly. Wicked, you are no longer the worst over-nominated Oscar musical of 2024. But I'm still not in love with you, so you're still going in D tier. But again, if you really loved Wicked and you're into it, like, that's fine. I get it. It's just, this is not my jam, and you'll see when we get to later on this list, there's a lot of movies that are totally my jam, and I rate them highly, and there's movies that aren't my jam, and I rate them lowly. But that's because that's me, right? So, if you liked Wicked, that's great, but for me, it was 2.5 hours of the blurry, low-res, CG, backlit monstrosity, bad lighting and editing and camera work turning brilliantly designed practical sets into just fake-looking objects, and stretching out a 90-minute half of a musical into, nearly double its length. Just, nope, I was not into it, and I watched it because I knew it would be up for all the awards, and it'll probably win a bunch, and I will not be happy, but I guess I can say that if Wicked wins, it'll no longer be the worst Oscar-nominated musical of 2024. So take that, Emilia Perez. Now, Wicked has a bunch of CGI monkeys in it. This was a great year for CGI monkeys. We had CGI monkeys in that. We had some CGI baboons, yeah. CGI baboons In another movie we'll talk about later, we had the best monkey movie, which was Monkey Man. He wasn't even a CG monkey in that, right? So it was a great year for monkey movies. But the big monkey movie from some people was Better Man, which is a Robbie Williams biopic, where he's played by a CGI monkey. Oh my gosh, that's such a fun concept, right? Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, how's the movie? Well, it's okay. The thing is once I get past the whole Robbie Williams is a monkey gimmick, I don't feel there was too much to the movie. I don't really have much investment in the songs because I don't know any of them. And again, it's not as badly shot of a movie like Wicked, but there is a lot of that low-res, pixelated, motion blur, CG, everything's always backlit nonsense. Like, you rent out that big fancy like street in London to be able to do your big musical song, that rock DJ song, and you shoot it all so it looks like it's one take with very obvious cuts, and you end up throwing a bunch of extra nonsense in it and backlighting it so it just looks like you shot it on a green screen. Why? Why does the movie look like this? I just don't like it. No. But it did turn into Monkey Mortal Kombat near the end, so that's cool. It reminded me, oh yeah, I used to know that song Millennium by Robbie Williams, and that wasn't even in the movie, to my knowledge. Maybe it was in the background or referenced, but I don't recall it being in the movie. So, yeah, I just ultimately didn't dig it that much, and yeah, so I don't know. This is a fine movie, but I don't feel it's as bad as D tier, so we'll go C tier, middle of the road for that one. That is on here because it's up for best visual effects, which I hope it doesn't win. And then also in the realm of CGI monkey movies that are nominated for best visual effects, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is also C tier for me. Not nearly as much of a masterpiece as the other Planet of the Apes movies, but I still enjoyed it, you know? So this is a fine movie. I feel like C tier is an odd category for me because you have some movies that are C tier because they have things that bring them down from a higher level to make them a C tier, and then you have movies that are just like good and decent, but they cannot rise any higher above C tier, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag in there, but you know, it would feel wrong to say that these movies are D tier, but I cannot safely say that they are B tier. Next up we have The Brutalist, a 3.5-hour movie starring Adrian Brody doing architecture. This was a big one I was hoping to see that I had not yet seen at the time of my list, and I can safely say that I love it a lot, and that's another A tier movie for me. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, really like this one. It's a long movie, but it like flowed pretty well. Loved having the intermission in theaters. I'm a little disappointed the intermission's only 1 minute on the digital copy, though. You know, I would have liked to have had it the full 15 minutes with all the music, because there's some lovely piano music they wrote for it. So, might have to do my own edit of the situation, you know. So, that is good in that regard. And, yeah, let's see what else. Really like this one a lot. Flowed very well. Looks great. If it has to be a big awards darling movie, I'm good with that one being a choice. I'm looking forward to rewatching it, and yeah, I don't know, not much more I can say to that. It was big, long, and epic, and that's how I like them, you know. So, you know, if I can't get other movies to win, I'll take this one. This one will be a fine choice, I'd say. Next up is, of course, the big controversial movie, The Apprentice, of which Sebastian Stan is nominated for Best Actor for playing the role of a, you know, current wannabe fascist dictator in my neighboring country to the south, the soon-to-be 11th province, because they lost that hockey game. Suck it. So, Sebastian Stan is great, playing the role of, soon-to-be premier Donald Trump, and he's great. It's almost a scary performance as to how accurately he slowly evolves into more and more like Premier Trump over the movie. But as for the movie itself, I feel like there's not too much more to it than that performance, So that one will have to also restrict to C tier. If Sebastian Stan does win Best Actor for that, that would be, I think, maybe the correct choice, perhaps. But he won't because of all the controversy. I don't want to give an award for, someone playing a wannabe dictator, right? So, oh well, should have thought about them 25% tariffs, right? Next up is Challengers. I have this one on here because it was completely snubbed. No mention of that whatsoever, which was very disappointing, I find. Best score, best editing, best cinematography, acting, screenplay. Really? Nothing? None? Very disappointing in that. So Challengers is here on my version, so I can give that one a B tier, because I didn't think a movie about a throuple tennis bisexual fever dream would be a good movie, but it was good. It was very fun and very entertaining. Really liked it a lot, and I think I speak for most people when we say we were very upset that one was just completely shut out. So one might say it was completely unknown to the Academy, which is disappointing indeed. But alas, what can you do? What does it feel to be like on your own? A complete unknown. Our next one, Best Picture nominee, a complete unknown, the Bob Dylan musical biopic, up for all the awards, Best Director, Best Actor, all that stuff. Well, I just watched this one about 20 minutes ago because it came out quite late on digital, and it's a movie, I guess. It's alright. I gotta admit, I was not fully looking forward to this one because I feel very burnt out on the musical biopic as a genre. I think they're all way too samey, and my level of interest in them is purely proportional to who is the movie about, so I really like Queen, so Bohemian Rhapsody, that was a pretty good one for me. Many people hated it, but I got some Queen music in it, so I really loved it. Better Man, don't really listen to Robbie Williams, not that good. Elvis, don't really listen to Elvis, not that good. But complete unknown, Bob Dylan, he's got some pretty good songs, yeah, he's got some classic stuff, but other than that, it's got some good music performances in it. Wasn't really super into it. I felt everything outside of the musical performances was just kind of bland. The Best Director, absolutely no way, man. No way, not James Mangold, not for this. Sorry, man. So I'm only gonna go also C tier for that one. Honestly, I felt that Timothée Chalamet is actually not, he's good, but I just see Timothée Chalamet impersonating Bob Dylan. I don't see him disappear into the role, unlike Monica Barbaro, who plays Joan Baez. She was great. I don't see her playing Joan Baez. I just see Joan Baez. So, yeah, I think she should win the awards, not Timothy, but, oh well. It is the second best movie to feature Timothée Chalamet in pursuit of greatness and vision, screwing over a girl so he can be with another girl. The easy joke is easy. Am I right? Yeah. Next up, we have a Best Animated Feature nominee, Memoir of a Snail, which I loved. That's another A tier movie for me. Well, it's tough. It's this one is B plus, perhaps. It would feels an overstatement to put it in A tier, but it would feel an understatement to put it in B tier. Because it's between Wild Robot and Flow for quality, you know what I'm saying? I almost feel like I need to make more tiers here, right? But yeah, Memoir of a Snail, great movie, stop motion, sane, director and writer from Mary and Max, which I also watched recently, and that one was actually great. I can't believe I put that one off for so long. It was wonderful. So yeah, that one was really good, and I love the style to it. I would also love to see that get some recognition. It's probably going to be Flow, but hey, it was a pretty good year for animated movies, what can I say? So definitely check that one out, that's for sure. And then we have another animated, Best Animated Movie nomination, which is Inside Out 2, and we will go a B tier for that one. I've never been the biggest fan of the Inside Out movies. I feel like conceptually they are really good, it's just they don't always execute it the best way story-wise. Like, I wasn't madly in love with the first Inside Out, but it hits you in the feels, haha, in the good ways, and Inside Out 2 manages to do that as well, only this one I feel got me more in the feels, because I couldn't really relate to the emotions of moving to a new city and having to find new friends, but I could really relate to trying to fit in as a teen and having lots of anxiety and panic attacks. So there were some moments there that got #too real for me, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that was a very fine movie. B tier for Inside Out 2. Next up, we have another Best Picture nominee, Conclave, which is a movie that we shall also give a B tier to, as this is a pretty good movie. I was very thoroughly invested in it, and I enjoyed the style to it. And it was well written and well shot and well acted. It's up for a decent amount of awards. I think it deserves a lot of good recognition in that way. So that is good indeed. Very nice, good movie. Don't know if it's going to be the front runner or not. There's been some debate on that, you know. If it wins, I would say this is a good win. This is a deserved win. But we shall see. That's for sure. As they say, hurry up and wait. You know, it's, yeah, that's how it is. Can't really say much more to it than that. I already talked about it on my top movies list, but it's, this is a fine movie indeed. And then next up we have Civil War. Civil War, and another tough one for me to rank. So this is on here because I feel this one got snubbed for a couple of the TAC awards, specifically Best Sound. How are you going to tell me Emilia Perez is a sounding movie when you've got Civil War with them gunshots, man? You know, okay, what kind of American are you? That's going to be me next time I visit the States. I'm going to see, oh, he's Canadian, he's not from around here, boy, are ya? But I really like Civil War. I feel like it's a movie that gets better the more I watch it, the more I think about it. You know, I think originally I gave it a 3.5, and then I bumped it up to a 4, and the next watch I might bump it up to 4.5, who knows. It's a movie I really like thinking about, which is good. So this is another tough one for me. You know, do we go A or B tier for this one? You know, I think we'll go B tier. You know, I don't want to overrate it. I think I actually might have put this one above Memoir of a Snail on my ranking list, but Memoir of a Snail is an A tier animated movie, and Civil War is a B tier drama movie. You know, so we'll go B tier for that one. You know, should have had a Best Sound award, that's for sure. And then after that we have September 5, which is a movie about the ABC News broadcast story in their attempt to cover the Munich massacre in the 1972 Olympics as it was unfolding. This was originally predicted to be a big front runner for a lot of awards, and I think it was up for like a Best Picture at the Golden Globes, but ultimately it only managed to score a writing nomination. So I still watched it for the purposes of this list, and I gotta say, well, here's the thing. I think it's a good movie, and it's well made. It's a very tightly paced 90-minute thriller, and it's nice to have a couple of short movies these days where everything insists on being 2.5 hours, regardless of whether or not it benefits the film. But ultimately, the thing that really hurt this film is I just couldn't help but think, for all this movie's attempts to do a good job covering the events of the Munich Massacre, Steven Spielberg did a better job of it covering it in just simply the prologue of Munich, and then Munich decided to have a whole other 2.5 hours of something completely different and equally interesting to go along with it. So ultimately, I can't rate September 5 very highly in that regard, so we're going to go in the C tier for that one. It's kind of C, high D tier, kind of somewhere in there, because I'm never going to watch this movie again because I'll just watch Steven Spielberg's Munich. And ultimately, was now the best time to make a movie that was very pro-Israel, anti-Palestine, and, really only focused on the Israeli side of the story, not the Palestine side of the story? I personally didn't get the vibe that this was trying to be some kind of Zionist film. I feel like it was just simply trying to cover the events, but a lot of people really walked away with that message, and if they are walking away with that idea, that's not really great. So maybe a little bit ill-timed of a film, much like how The Creator the other year was not a good time to release a kind of AI has rights to type movie. There's a time and a place, and this wasn't the time. So yeah. Next up we have Nickel Boys, which is another Best Picture nominee. I knew literally nothing about this movie going into it. I knew it was a movie told from first-person point of view, and that's it. So how's the movie? Well, it's kind of an awkward one for me to rank, because I think this is a very well-made, well-done movie with a good story and a good style to it, and I think it actually deserved to get nominated in a few more areas than just the ones it was nominated in. However, at 2 hours 20 minutes, it did drag for me, and I just wasn't super invested in the story. So, but it does a lot of things right. This first-person view, kind of Enter the Void style, is a really cool way to shoot a movie. The fact that a lot of it is like characters looking down and averting thine eyes, that is very telling. A lot of great shots in this. The sound is very good from this first-person perspective. The score is very great. A lot of really good technical elements to this movie. And it is a good and important story to tell. It also kind of avoids this genre that came about. I think they refer to it as black trauma. This idea that you have the character that you empathize with. You have to see them suffer a lot, right? And yeah, it was definitely a thing that's kind of been run into the ground. And after we had 12 Years a Slave, it was basically like you don't even need to make another movie like that ever again. Like that movie did it. It's done. Don't even try anymore, right? And this movie kind of expertly avoids that by having a lot of this supposed bad stuff happen off camera, off screen, implied, hinted at. So I really like it for all these things. Just, however, I wasn't super interested in watching it, and it didn't really hold my attention beyond, hey, that's cool style. So yeah, for me, I'm only going to give a C tier to Nickel Boys. But I would say if we're looking at the more, technical elements of it, it is more of a B or an A tier movie. It's just my personal experience with the film was that of C tier. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? I think it's what they might refer to in the industry as objectively. Objectively, it is a B or an A tier movie. But in my experience, it was only a C tier movie. Does that sound good, right? So if you loved Nickel Boys and you gave it 5 stars, that's great. I agree with you. That's good that you watched the movie and enjoyed it that much. I personally, unfortunately, did not have that same experience. But I might rewatch it. I might give it another shot. Maybe, perhaps I was just not in the zone for this. This happens sometimes. I mean, I know a movie that I originally hated, like loathed entirely, was Magnolia. And I've rewatched it a few times, and now I think it's pretty good. That's not one of my favorites, but it's pretty good. I get it now. Same thing with The Master. Also, Paul Thomas Anderson movie. You know, this happens sometimes. You're just not in the zone for watching a movie, right? But I'm willing to give it another shot sometimes, and sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong. You know. So I might rewatch Nickel Boys, but for now, it is C tier for me. Then another movie up for a few awards, also a movie kind of about some similar themes, is Sing Sing, which I preferred this movie to Nickel Boys, so we will give that one a B tier. It's up for Best Actor for Coleman Domingo, and I think a Best Song award, and this is a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. I think I will rewatch this one and give it another shot. It was a very well done movie about sort of a theater as a form of therapy in the prison reform system. Very well done and well shot. Just, I'm kind of with everybody. A24, you done buggered it up by not promoting this movie a little more, and, you know, you could have probably scraped up a few more awards. So, yeah, I didn't know what to think of this movie. I just watched it because it was up for the awards, and I really enjoyed it. This is a very fine movie indeed, and you know, looking forward to watching it again at some point. And yeah, you know what, maybe Best Actor Coleman Domingo, that also has a nice ring to it indeed. Really was into the zone with this movie. Another one that manages to very cleverly imply lots of bad things that have happened without directly showing it, but still giving you that same effect. And not many movies can pull off a plot twist with a end credits sequence, but this movie did it. If you know, you know. And then also on the topic of emotional drama films about people and feelings and feels and the quiet, intimate moments between those we talk about, is A Real Pain, which we shall give, again, I'll give a C tier to that one. You see, it's a lot of C tier stuff. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of middle ground, a lot of just, it was good, but it was no masterpiece. I enjoyed this one. It's well written, got lots of fun shots as this, what are they, brothers, cousins, right? As they're traveling around Germany, going on kind of a sort of a existential, cathartic trip. And this is a fine movie indeed. It's well done, it's well written, it's got nice shots, got some good feels, a nice, tightly paced 90-minute movie. I think it's funny that, like, I used to say movies are not too long and movies are not too boring. Now I'm wishing for the days of 90-minute movies, but I think everybody heard me and just said that they can make movies 2.5 hours regardless of whether or not they need to. You know, like, am I a hypocrite in saying that my favorite movie is 2001: A Space Odyssey, and yet every other movie is too long? Because a lot happens in 2001: Space Odyssey, and it's not even 2 hours, 20 minutes. And there's a lot of movies on here that are that same length or longer, and a lot less happens in them, you know. It's crazy that 2001: A Space Odyssey is now a short, quick movie. So yeah, Real Pain was nice, and it was good, so we shall give that a nice middle ground C tier for that one indeed. Next up we have Anora. Anora, which may or may not be the big frontrunner movie now. We shall see indeed. Gotta say, this one was not in love with it as much as everybody else was, you know? Yeah, I just wasn't as into it. No, I don't know, man. Like, there's kind of 3 distinct parts to this movie, which we may kind of talk a bit of spoilers about, you know. But the first part is Mikey Madison's character, Honora, as I know her actual name. I forget what her stage name is. Is Annie? I forget. Honora, though, right? The first part is her meeting Vanya and then, like, falling in love with him and getting married. And the whole time I kind of thought, well, this is interesting. It's from the perspective of, like, the girl in the classic Martin Scorsese gangster movie where the guy ends up with some hot girl and they fall in love and get married, even though every instinct should be telling her, run. So I thought that was interesting. But at the same time, I thought, okay, this guy's obviously sus. Girl, you should run. Am I smart for predicting this? Am I supposed to predict this? I couldn't tell whether the movie wanted me to figure that out myself or if it was supposed to be a twist. Because then we have a whole chunk of the movie where Vanya's run away and Honora has to help the Russian goon squad track him down. And she continually insists, despite all evidence, that he loves her, he's waiting for her, he's gonna find her, he's a great guy. And lo and behold, it turns out he's drunk and stoned off of his ass, getting lap dances from other dancers, right? Was that supposed to be a big twist? Or was that supposed to be the no shit girl moment? Like, I just felt like the movie... If the movie is leaving me up to my own devices to decide for myself, then it is a good movie because, you know, I'm supposed to read between the lines. But if the movie is trying to hide it from me, like, aha, drama, what a twist, then it's not good because that wasn't a twist. See what I'm saying? And then we have the third part of the movie that kind of come down from the high, and that's mainly just them going to Vegas to get the marriage annulled, and then her having to hang out with Touche, right? Yuri, right, is his name. He's up for Best Supporting Actor. And I just never really dug that element of the story. To me, it really felt like just, I don't know, hashtag not all men. Like the guy, when he first introduced, he assaults her, attacks her, kidnaps her, holds her against her will, treats her roughly, and then slowly throughout the movie he just decides, hey, don't be mean to her, or hey, maybe apologize to her. And like, he doesn't know her much. They have like one conversation, and then at the end the movie's like, right, well, now you can receive intercourse, right? Like, I'm like, no, please don't end with them getting together. But then they also kind of don't, because as she's going to do the deed with him, she starts crying and breaks down emotionally, right? And is the movie trying to imply that this is because all she knows how to do is be transactional with sex? Like, for a movie that's all about supporting sex workers and, you know, trying to get the real inside story, that seems like the very most like a basic of basic. If you're into sex work, you can't possibly think of sex as anything else other than transactional. Like, I'm not a sex worker myself. I haven't made an OnlyFans. But that just seems to rub me the wrong way, you know? I don't like the implication of that ending. I don't know. I'm again, like Nickel Boys, I'm willing to give this movie another shot. If it wins the awards, maybe I'll need to revisit it, but for me right now, yeah, again, call this year the year of underwater, because most of these grades are at or below sea level. Yeah, gonna go see Tier 4 and Aura as well. Yep, rip. Next, we have a movie that was completely shut out and snubbed, but I knew it was gonna get shut out and snubbed because this movie had no way in chance of being as big of an impact as the director's previous movie, and that was Kinds of Kindness. I still held out hope when I saw that singular Jesse Plemons Best Supporting Actor nod in the Golden Globes, but alas, no, there was nothing for this movie. I just love how insane this movie is. It's just so weird and out there. This is a long movie that doesn't bore me. I'm invested throughout the whole thing. And I don't know, it gives me an eyes wide shut vibe for some reason, and that I just kind of roll with it, you know, despite it being very long and straight faced. I don't know. It is probably the second best movie of the year, where there are two Margaret Quallys and she gets dragged around on the floor. So we will go A tier for that one, indeed. Really would have liked to have seen some awards recognition for that one. And also, speaking of great movies that I think could have used some more awards recognition, we have Saturday Night, which that one, we'll go B tier for that one, but it is kind of like a B plus as well. I think I may have even rated it higher than Civil War or Memoir of a Snail. It was somewhere up in there. So it's a B tier for being a fun, fast-paced, good, well-written comedy. And I just loved the style to it. It had such a good, frantic energy. It's a movie that works if you know the history behind SNL, but even if you don't, like me, because I don't, I still get a lot out of it. It's not too overly reliant on your nostalgia knowledge of, hey, that's that thing I know. I clapped when I saw it, because I certainly didn't know any of this, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I think that's quite telling, and I'm definitely looking forward to rewatching this one again. That's for sure. Alright, next up we got the two big Best Picture nominees and their subsequent related movies. No surprise, let's just get it over with. No, S tier. S tier for Dune Part 2, that's for sure. So, yep, I'm a Dune fanboy. That was the best movie starring Timothée Chalamet, where he screws over a girl for another girl and has some kind of like hardcore god complex that makes him think he's above everybody. That's the best one for sure. So this movie will not win anything, maybe a tech award or two, but that's okay. I never had that people had this vision that Dune Part 2 was going to be like Return of the King, where they give all the awards to that one. No. Return of the King deserved all the awards, and it also got lucky that there wasn't another big frontrunner that year. You know, that was not going to happen with Dune Part 2. Absolutely not. As much as I would have loved it too. But for me, it's S tier, and I love it. It's an honor just to be nominated. Then next up we have another desert-themed movie with a gladiator arena in it. It's Gladiator 2, which I finally watched. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. We went from the first Gladiator winning Best Picture, being a huge box office hit, to Gladiator 2 only getting one single little nomination for costume design, just squeaking in. But you know what? I enjoyed this movie, and it was pretty good, so we'll give it a B tier. The thing for me is that I never had a lot of big fanboy nostalgic attachment to the first Gladiator movie. I only watched it about a year or two ago for the first time, and I thought this is a very, very good, well done movie. But it was probably at most an A tier movie for me, not a S tier movie. Now, for a lot of people, Gladiator is like in their top 5 favoritist and greatest movies of all time, which it is not for me. So I can understand why then, if you went to a movie that was of lesser quality, that is not your top 5 favorite movie, how far it would make that fall down. So if Gladiator was an S tier movie for you, you probably thought Gladiator 2 was like a C or a D. But for me, because Gladiator 1 was an A tier movie for me, I think Gladiator 2 is a B. I don't think it's much of a downgrade, right? Yeah, there's historical inaccuracies, stuff that doesn't make sense, but the movie is entertaining, right? It's interesting. And it is the same plot as the first one, but again, I kind of knew that going in. Like, how much more different were they going to make the plot than the first one, right? Like, what would you do? Bring Russell Crowe back from the dead as a time-traveling zombie? That'd be dumb. And then also in the realm of desert-themed sci-fi futuristic dystopian societies, we have Furiosa, which we shall give A tier for that one, which this one also got completely snubbed, which is kind of disappointing. Again, I was holding out for a tech award here or there too, just a little bit of recognition. But, oh well, that's fine. Yeah, this one, Furiosa, still great, still love it, absolutely kicks all the ass. They took a Mad Max style of movie, but really brought it back to that Western revenge style of film. I love that. A movie that absolutely justified its length. So well shot and interesting. Just, unfortunately for some people, it was, too little too late, because coming 9 years after Mad Max Fury Road was, a little too late for them. Oh well. But don't worry, Furiosa. I was with you on that. You had it in you to make it epic, that's for sure. And that leaves us with one more Best Picture nominee, which is, of course, The Substance, which, you know what? In terms of Best Picture nominees, I'm just going to go nice and high with that one and give that one an S tier, because I love this movie a lot. I really need to watch it again. I wish I could have had somebody to watch it with me for a New Year's party. But alas, not everybody I know is into violent 2.5-hour body horror movies, So, again, I'm just glad this movie's up there for a lot of awards. It's not going to win any of them, but it'd be really fun if it did. And here's hoping for a Monstro Eliza Sue cameo in the Oscars. That'd be great. So, yeah, I love that one a lot, but it's got no shot at winning. So, funny how the Best Picture nominees I love the most have no chance, and the ones that I hate actually have a chance. Oh well. Again, it's one of those kind of years. And, oh, would you look at that? Nosferatu and Alien Romulus are nominated for some Oscars. Well, I guess we can just rant about those and just chuck those into S tier. That's great. I have another reason to talk about how much I loved Nosferatu and Alien Romulus. This is wonderful. I never thought I would have the chance. This is so great. Well, yeah, so I got to watch Nosferatu without a bunch of, noisy ass annoying theater patrons. So, that was good. I got to actually enjoy the movie properly without the commentary track. And yeah, I loved it even more. What can I say? It's I'm basic. It's a movie made for me, and I ate it up. I love it. I love the style, love the setting, love the characters, love the look. Just everything is great. And I also watched the Werner Herzog Nosferatu finally for a better comparison, and that version is really good and has a few cool, unique things to it. Not my personal favorite one, but again, I get if you were really into this, how that would be one you'd be into a lot. So that was good. And then, yeah, Alien Romulus, still really love it. It's a S tier movie, but it's an A tier Alien movie, right? Because it's not as good as the first 3 Alien movies for me. It's just a smidge under it. So that's why I can't give it a perfect 5 stars, because I have to show it's underneath those ones. But hey, in the purposes of movies nominated for Oscars, I guess we can give it a good old S tier. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's almost like I'm a fan or something, Still gotta figure out where I put that poster. But, yeah, there we go. My tier list of the Best Picture nominees, plus a couple other Oscar movies. So as we can see, yeah, it wasn't that great of a year comparatively, because I looked over my last tier list. Actually, do I still have that? Let's see, one moment. Alas, I do not. I forgot to save my results. Well, you can go watch my old video, my, Oscars 2024 Best Picture from 2023 video, and you'll see, yeah, there was a lot more higher up there. I think as here you can see the average is C tier with a bit of B tier, and we don't have as many up here. And again, I had to go especially extra low for these two movies here. But again, ignore the fact that I'm Still Here is in the D tier. It's D for did not watch, right? I'm sure it's gonna be wonderful. It's probably an S tier movie. They just want to make us wait a little bit more on that one, right? But yeah, I remember last year, like looking at the nominees, you had so many ones. I had to put movies in the B tier just to balance it out, so there wasn't too many high tier ranked movies. So, oh well, yeah, you can't win them all. Sometimes the year can be a little disappointing overall, but hey, that's okay. It is what it is. So maybe I'll watch the Oscars so I can watch them hand Amelia Perez a truckload of awards. But maybe I'll catch a glimpse of Monstro Eliza Sue, and it'll all be worth it. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me on that. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good night.